The origins of this podcast is bullshit and bad breath.
This is Tall Can Audio.
It is opening week in the National Hockey League. We got takes, so there's takes. It's Matt Robinson, Rob Christie. Welcome inside our studio in beautiful Bytown, Canada. Make sure you're following along on social media at Tall Can Audio. And God, if you haven't done so by now, I don't know what you're waiting for, but make sure you're subscribed to the pod wherever you're hearing us right now. What's happening, man?
It's fall. Mm-hmm. It's hockey season. Mm-hmm. I'm here midweek looking at your glorious face.
It is glorious.
Man, I don't know how much soap there has to be to wash it.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic, man.
Okay. Took a little drive-by there. That's all right. That's all right.
It's not a show if it's not, right?
There's going to be some Sens and Leafs elbows traded here very early on in this NHL season, as there almost always is.
For sure.
And so we'll just say right off the hop here, I don't know how much research you've done. For me, pretty limited. This whole show is just, here's some takes. Here's some thoughts. Here's some things that might happen that are entirely possibly on the table. Well, before we do that, no, I'm interrupting you. You don't get to jump in yet. You got a beer?
Of course I got a beer, man.
What is the beer?
What is happening
today?
there?
Yeah, exactly. Have I ever not had a beer?
This is a beer I was wandering around work with the other day.
Oh boy.
Telling people.
Rob recently dismissed. Free agent.
Telling people thing, and they're like, yeah, you're really telling me that while you're waving that beer around in your hand?
Okay.
I'm like, all right. And it's 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
This is another gift beer by a good friend of the show, LSG. Mm-hmm. This is the doubling back to our good friends, makers of fine beer, in my opinion.
Okay.
Dominion City.
Yep.
This is
Is it a small can?
Of course it is.
They do too much to the small can.
I told you a couple weeks ago, man. I am my own liquor control board. I don't need you to tell me what to do.
We ran that clip out there. People were loving it.
Okay. But in this case, this is the Monster Mash Double IPA.
It is that time of year.
Yes.
They did the mash.
So this is a creamy.
It was a podcast smash.
Double IPA.
Creamy. Okay.
Hazy.
Like hazy.
Creamy. Mm-hmm. It's the creamy part that I'm most interested in.
Yeah.
Not traditionally a huge double IPA fan. But
what's the percentage on this one?
8.
8. Okay.
So my boy Stevie is. He loves the higher alcohol.
Yeah.
Again, he's got young children.
Got to come to work with you every day.
He's a once a week guy. He's one of those hybrid
look
guys,
at this
right?
guy.
Yeah, working from home, doing his thing.
Look at this morose motherfucker right here.
Yep. That's Stevie.
It's a little Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, I'm interested in the flavors in this because sometimes the double IPAs get a little boozy in flavor. So Stevie kept telling me it's juicy and it's creamy. What do you have?
I have circled back, as you know, right after Labor Day. Went over to Vimy, grabbed up some things. So this is one I've had multiple times before. This is the red. Fantastic beer. Little caramel to it or something, right? A little maltiness right up front.
Caramelized onion?
No, not a lot of onion flavor in this particular beer. So I appreciate that from Vimy. Love a good red, as you know, man, especially a well-crafted one, which Vimy does quite well. How's the first pull there?
I am, if I can put creamy, I'm not sure because I think of an orange creamsicle.
Yeah.
But it does have it's smooth.
Yeah.
How about that?
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to say creamy, but it's right out of the fridge. We'll wait and we'll see. But I'm also not getting a pile of booziness from it.
Well, that's a nice change.
Which is a feather in a double IPA cap.
Yep. 100%.
And what do you have over there?
This is the Vimy Red. Sweet.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah, sorry. I do remember.
Pretty nice, but I already knew that, right? I've had this one a bunch. There was a reason I grabbed a bunch of these when we were in there after Labor Day, because I think this is a very fine beer, one of my favorites in town. So that's what we're rolling with here. Look, I want to let the good listener know, in case they've missed it, this week, Graham Nichols, our annual Ottawa Senators preview show on the podcast. You can find his work at the Roman a Day blog, formerly known as the Sixth Sens. I do like the kind of reactions we get on Twitter every now and then when I link to his work at Roman a Day, I'm like, I get that, right? It's an old, you got to be an OG Sens fan, right, to get that.
Yeah, and he's articulate, well thought out, good guy.
100%. And Jeff Vayette will be here to do the Toronto Maple Leafs preview again. And he's done that, I think, same amount of time. Graham's been doing the Sens version. We trade them off opening night for each team. And so Jeff's going to be taking care of that. Lots of...
When are you getting the Habs guys in here? Wait, let me see. Never!
Yeah, that's it, man. We've had Eric Ingles on. We've had Andrew Berkshire on. Both were great to the show, but...
You've also had...
opening week is tough, man.
What's his name? Basu?
Arpan Basu?
Arpan Basu. He's been on the show, no?
Nope.
Scratch that!
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
We'll find some time for Arpan Basu. Great writer.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Does nice work, but never been on the podcast.
Sure he'd been on the podcast.
Nope. Unless you're doing stuff.
What you doing, buddy? Where are you at? Where you at? Come on.
So we thought here, essentially today, we just kick around 3 takes each.
Well, and the origins of this podcast is bullshit.
Okay.
And bad breath.
Okay.
And so...
I don't know which one I want to take credit for. You know what? I'm the bullshit guy.
You know what? Anyways, that is the backbone of this show. So why would we stop now?
Right. And so the idea was, let's each bring 3 takes on this year's NHL season to the table.
You said hot takes? And
I did.
Thought, I don't know if I have any hot takes.
Yeah, well, they cool over the weekend, right?
Yep.
And the idea was also that we'd each bring one directed at the other guy's team. So I have a hot Sens take.
Oh, and I got a hot Leaf take.
Okay. Do you want to start? Or do you want me to start?
What are you going to go with here? League-wide or...
Yeah, no, we'll save our Leafs and Sens takes to the last one each.
You start off.
I'm thinking, man. I'm doing some thinking. I'm kicking things around. I'm looking at some rosters. I'm not as sold on Carolina as I have often been. And maybe I'm still just a bit of a sucker for Kyle Dubas University. The Pittsburgh Penguins win the Metropolitan Division. I like what they've done in a regular season sense here. I think Crosby's still got another probably 90-point season in him. We'll see if Malkin can stay healthy. I know in the power play that it looks like they're going to run Letang and Karlsson at the same time. I don't know how long that lasts. But certainly having one of those guys at 5-on-5 on the ice basically at all times, I think is going to allow them to score more than they have in the future. I am, like most people, fairly terrified at their goaltending. Not sure it's going to hold up. But I think Carolina is still solidly a playoff team. And I like they brought in Bunting, give them a little boost, right? That's 23 goals each of the last 2 seasons. He'll probably get a chance in their top 6 here. Is
he going to skate with Matthews and Marner?
Probably not.
No.
Not likely. But Aho, no slouch.
No slouch.
Yeah.
Nope, it's true.
Early on in camp, I know he was skating with Aho and the other kid they took from us there with our first-round pick for Marlowe, and his name escapes me.
Kotkaniemi.
No, not that guy.
No, not that guy.
Anyway, I think Carolina is still solidly a playoff team, but every now and then, those teams take a bit of a step back, still make it in, right? Still comfortably a playoff team. But
see, to me...
I think the Penguins win this division.
Yeah, well, then we're going to...
I think the Penguins could win this division.
We're going to combine your hot take with my first hot take, which is Pittsburgh won't make the playoffs.
Okay. See, I like that. I like that right off the hop, we have locked horns here. And I'm slightly more comfortable now at why you were laughing so hard at my take.
I was casting through, and we sort of last week, we took a shot at Pittsburgh going, yeah, you're going to run all those guys. Like Gensel, you're going to put him in on your first power play, and he's injured. Like he's going to start with a amputated foot.
An ankle or something, yeah.
Whatever's happening there. And so you sort of cast in. They still have Ricard Raquel there.
Jeff Carter.
They still have Carter. They still have Brian Rust. There's still some players there, right? Riley Smith.
Mm-hmm. Champion.
However, when you cast through their lineup, if I was to give you their, off of Cap Friendly this morning, their projected depth chart and their starting 20, Okay, or 18. Starting 18 skaters.
Yeah.
If I was to ask Matt Robinson, how many of those guys are under 30 years of age?
Oh, no, it's old. It's old. So out of 20, how many of them are
out of 18 skaters?
Out of
only.
18, how many are under 30?
Yep.
7?
6.
Okay. Yeah, it's an old group.
And a lot of that trends toward mid 30s and later. Like, this is a team.
Well, Jeff Carter and Sidney Crosby were both on that Grand Forks 05 World Junior team. Yeah.
And so, to me, you look at this and go, this could win the Metro. Mm-hmm. Or, man, with the goaltending and any potential chemistry issues, injuries, like, this could go poorly.
Oh, it could, for sure. And this is why both these takes, I guess, have the luxury of being considered hot, right? Is
hot.
Hot. I got Washington falling out. I don't trust the Islanders. The Rangers last year sort of underwhelmed compared to what they had done the year before.
That's just
Jersey
guy's pretty good.
Yeah. Jersey is right there in that mix with Pittsburgh, with Carolina.
Everything went right for Jersey last year. With younger players.
They're on the come. Like they are.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Of course they are. But I'm looking at worst case scenario. To me, what could happen here. I think the introduction of Karlsson, I think it has been somewhat not as smooth as it could be. I think there's people saying a lot of things when you
it's a big personality and a big slot to insert into this group.
100%, man. A three-time Norris winner, right? Who comes in and is saying, "Yeah, guess what? Whatever you have here, I don't care whatever you had here before. I'm the man." That's a hard personality.
Sid will get that under control.
To bring
Sid
in.
is the man. Until he doesn't want
Sid's
to be.
the kid.
Okay.
And so
Wordplay. Awesome.
I look at this and go, this could go south. It has the potential, and not even a stretch, for this to be not great. Between Sid and Evgeny Malkin, when's the last time those two guys played a full, let's say, 75 plus in the same season?
Yeah, no, Malkin especially has been, like, Sid had his huge chunk of missed games, kind of
Mid-career,
11, 12, whatever it was. And Malkin's had a bunch of injuries since then. And they're both aging out. There's no doubt about that. But I think Sid could easily... Sid, I think crossed 90 points again last year.
If it wasn't, it was 88 points.
Yeah.
It was...
Right in that neighborhood. And
enough that if he was to duplicate that this year,
yeah,
he would be in the top 10 of all-time NHL scoring.
So I just think, man, there's a chance if they get any kind of goaltending. I think it's Jari and Nedeljkovic, I believe, has been brought in there as the backup. That's
who was the steal that Detroit plucked out of.
Yeah, and then moved on.
And then suddenly it's no longer. You're like, oh, it was a steal.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think I might just trust Dubas a little too much, man.
Yeah, well, it's the love. It's the love of your boy there.
Yep,
Musly Millhouse. Right? It is a little bit of faith in that.
I got another friend who calls him Sexy Millhouse.
Okay, that's another friend. That's not
it's
this
not
guy.
This friend.
It is, to me, they could, but they are counting on everything banging right here this year.
Yeah, I don't have them winning the cup. I don't have them going deep in the playoffs. But I think through a regular season, if you get that power play running hot, sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, and there is going to be, and I'm a huge Sidney Crosby guy. Mm-hmm. To me, he's one of the few sort of superstar players that if he's not on your team, you know how you have that sort of built-in resentment towards other great players who don't play on the team that you cheer for?
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
But I've always been, on the Sid bandwagon, right? Like, to me, he's a guy that I always cheer for, right?
There's no middle ground there either, right? Like, there's a lot of people who
in this market who hate him.
Yeah. And for me, I'm sort of with you. Like, if my team's not in it, and normally by the third week of April they're not, Pittsburgh sort of becomes that default team. I'll see what Crosby and those guys are up to.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the hate.
Yeah.
But I never have.
Yeah.
I never have, right? And if you want to pin the early whining on him, man, show me a superstar who didn't come into the league and complain, right?
So my first take was that they're going to win the division. Yours was that they're going to miss the playoffs. So that's going to be interesting to follow. Round 2 here. Why don't you go? Why don't you lead off?
I'll go off with Edmonton Oilers. Going to win the President's Trophy this year. I think they will be the...
That's not that hot of a take.
NHL's... Really?
That power play has just carried them a long way last year. They could...
This is Rob's then...
warm take.
Yeah, lukewarm take.
Yeah.
I like, to me, in terms of... I am super bullish on the acquisition of Connor Brown and just what inserting that kind of guy in there with.
Well, and even last year at the deadline, we both loved the Ekholm addition. That just fit perfectly.
And I haven't even got into that, right? Yeah. Which is if you can go out with Bouchard, Ekholm, double back into a Nurse, CC,
right? Yep.
And then anybody you put with Kulak in that bottom pairing is going to be dynamite.
Sure, Brett Kulak carries everybody to.
I think they're talking about Vincent Desharnais.
Nice. Okay.
But if you look at up front, not just that power play, but you're going to expect to see Nugent Hopkins take a step back. But the addition of Brown, what you have up front with Draisaitl, McDavid, Kane, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, it's to me, there's just so much happening there. I due to the fact that the West is so...
Well, the Pacific specifically, right? I think Calgary's going to be better. I think LA is going to be good. Vancouver thinks they're going to be better. Anaheim and San Jose are still going to stink. I think everybody else has got a chance to maybe not go deep, maybe not be elite, but I think that division is going to be tough.
But we have both, over the years, slagged the Oilers routinely for their deficiencies.
Yeah, it just wasn't built properly around the pieces they had.
And I look at now up front, the bona fide, not just I hope Yamamoto turns into something.
I'm sorry, who?
Yamamoto.
Thank you.
You hope that the hope is gone, I think. When you look at
gone.
Yeah. When you look at the removal of the sort of ifs and buts, and you've now you have Connor Brown in there on a $800,000, whatever the contract is.
Yeah, entirely bonus laden.
Yeah, bonus laden, putting that money forward. Yep. And Hyman, I'm looking at now.
They're about to go Erie Otters on your ass.
This is it. Well, and top scorer for the Erie Otters, Connor Brown.
Where's DeBrincat at? Any chance of getting him back out there?
Yep, probably not.
No.
But if you look at just the addition of a training camp with Ekholm and Connor Brown coming in, I think their goaltending of Skinner and Campbell.
I was just going to ask you, any chance Campbell's getting that job back, or is that Skinner's now?
Zero.
Right.
I believe it's
another 4 years at $5 million to go.
Yep. Well, and maybe he's in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
But I just think that those kinds of pieces that you've put in there really sort of move this team from that sort of 8-9 spot in the NHL standings to bang, number one with a bullet.
Yeah, I don't have a huge argument against that, man. I think with what they've brought in, if Connor Brown bounces back, having Ekholm for the whole year and Stuart Skinner, you're not going to sort that goaltending shit out through the season where you have that big contract and you keep trying to pigeonhole Jack Campbell back in there. I think if you can just come to terms with the fact that Stuart Skinner is going to be the guy and you're going to be unhappy with your backup's contract here for a while.
And if you can come to grips with the fact that you're going to have 890 save percentages.
Everybody is, eh? Save percentages were down, scoring's been up.
Yeah, that your goals against is going to be inflated.
We'll do what the Oilers always did. We'll win the 6-4.
We're channeling the early 80s kind of glory days. So to me, I've never been really high on them, but to me, they've made the changes that show me that they could win the President's Trophy this year.
I think I've already sort of tipped my hand a little bit a couple of weeks ago on the podcast at this one. You weren't particularly receptive at the time, which is not uncommon. I think Connor Bedard is cracking 90 points this year. And I've been back and forth on this one because when I said it, I sort of had to look at it afterwards and go, what's up? What else is on this roster to help him get that done?
Taylor Hall.
There's not a lot on the roster to help him get this done.
Corey Perry.
It is Taylor Hall for sure, and Nick Foligno to a huge contract. There's not a lot left going on in Chicago.
Nicholas Yarmelson.
Yeah, perhaps slightly past his prime. But I look at them, and I look at him specifically, and we look at right now what he's doing in the preseason, what he did in that rookie tournament. He's already putting up numbers, some of them at highlight reel caliber. And we have seen over the last 2 years scoring rates creeping back up, right? And it just sort of feels to me like this kid, I don't know where he's going to land on goals. Is it 25? Is it closer to 40? Like Matthews put up 40, and this kid has every chance of being better than Austin Matthews, right?
Ovechkin had 50.
In that rookie year, yeah. So
Crosby had 100 points.
So it is on and Crosby did it in that first year after things had opened up out of the lockout. Do not
disrespect Pascal Dupuis.
I'm doing it. I'm disrespecting him right now. He didn't come in until a little bit later. If you remember, man, I've been playing. I think we talked about this before. I don't know if you ended up getting in on it. The puck doku.
No, you keep talking about it, but it's still.
So people are looking for like. Someone who once scored 100 points, or someone who once scored 50 goals and who played for the Penguins. You're like, well, I don't want to pick Yager. I don't want to pick Lemieux. John LeClair, one-time Pittsburgh Penguin. Remember, coming out of the lockout, they surrounded.
What about Mark Recchi?
Ziggy Palffy was a Penguin coming out of the lockout as they tried to surround Crosby with these. Miro Shatan, John LeClair. They brought in all these guys. Bill Guerin was a little bit later. Anyway, Chicago has sort of done that.
Have you totally disregarded my Mark Recchi?
Yeah, totally.
He's 100.
You know how I feel about.
He was 100-point guy with the Penguins.
Yeah, but I think people would have guessed that. I'm throwing down a John LeClair as a one-time 50-goal scorer and a Pittsburgh Penguin
and a Stanley Cup winner with the Montreal Canadiens.
0.8%, man, on the puck doku. So anyway,
well, you're a fucking genius.
I know.
Anybody who listens to the show knows that,
right? So I think as you look at Connor Bedard and what he has shown at the World Juniors, what he's shown in training camp, preseason, I sort of thought maybe I need to pump the brakes when I put that out there a couple weeks ago. I think I said high 90s at the time. I'm setting this at he'll cross 90 points. And that's going to have to depend on him scoring a lot for himself. Taylor Hall will be the guy that he plays with. Again, Taylor Hall got some familiarity with playing with number 1 overall picks. With his
now
time.
Yakubov.
Sure, some guys in Edmonton, some guys in New Jersey. I think Bedard can get there. I think he's that good, even with a fairly mediocre roster around him. Scoring on
mediocre?
Yeah. Oh, perhaps worse.
Very generous, Matt. Yeah. Very generous.
But scoring again on the rise, save percentages on the downswing.
There was one of his first 2, maybe the first exhibition game against St. Louis. They won 2-1, and he was the 2 primary assists.
Yeah.
Man, and that's fine, but that's how that 90 points is going to have to come, right? Like, he's going to score it, or he's got to put somebody in such a...
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of 5-3 losses while he's getting
such a fine position.
I think he can do it, man. I think
and
I think this kid's special.
I have struggled with...
Struggling.
Elite guys coming out of junior hockey, right?
It's hard to make the read on which guys are going to do it.
Are you going to be a Crosby? Are you going to be a Lafreniere, right? Like, what is...
those are the tail ends of it. Right?
Well, and what are those things, right? In terms of the hype. Now, clearly, Lafreniere is a step back from that hype, but he was a slam dunk.
100%, man.
Number 1
Remember, they were the talk of freezing the ball for...
Yeah,
the Rangers were the Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, but just in terms of what is going to happen, and 90 points is so lofty and so elite. Like 50 goals as a rookie, be it Ovechkin, or 100 points as a Crosby, you're like,
yep,
that is so elite, so all time.
I got him on that level.
Yeah, and I think I have clearly cautiously approached junior phenoms as they approach. You're Alex Daigs. I'd put Alex Daig.
I can see why you're tentative on the superstar with Alex Daig in Ottawa's back pocket.
Yeah, and you just sort of go, I just think it'll be so hard for him.
I think with scoring being up.
I think if you were to say 80 points, I would say to you that is 80 points is a saucy kind of a prediction. right? If you look at, we talked about 33.5 goals over under,
Yeah.
right? Is there, and if you say, yeah, that number's right, 35,
Yeah, in that
man,
neighborhood.
you are asking that guy for 55 assists. And
That's what I'm asking
And
for.
where is that going to be generated
I'm
from?
looking for Taylor Hall to have a big year.
Boffo,
Fourth line, Corey Perry to
he's
be
doing
back
it.
in the
He's
mix.
doing it, and I am a Bedard believer. I am, but I think that team is so shite
90 points. Write it down.
that I am looking at Connor Bedard getting 70 odd points.
Moving on.
I think Matt, as per usual, is far too optimistic.
That is what I'm known for.
Yes.
Always look on the bright side of life, man. Dun it.
So now we are.
We got a Leafs take and we got a Sens take.
Yeah. So I went first. So now we're going to lop it over to you to
Okay.
your hot Sens take.
And I have had to work hard on the language for this.
Yeah, and for the record, you are very bullish on whatever you're gonna throw down here.
I think it's an interesting debate what I have here. And so when you sent out an email to me saying, hey, what kind of preview stuff do you want to do? What do you want to talk about? And I sort of came back with, what if I had 3 Sens takes, you had 3 Leafs takes? That ended up being a little too lofty. Like, what's there really to say about some of this stuff? So we settled on 1 Leafs and Sens take each. And
I'm like, man, 3. I don't know if I could come up with 3 unless they were 2
John Klingberg, Carlson, 100 points.
worst case scenario, right? Like I'm just like
Martin Jones, number 1 guy.
the whole place burns down and everyone dies and it's horrific.
Okay, yeah.
Hot.
That is a hot take. Let's look for something other than that.
Okay.
I've had to work on the language for this prediction.
You've had to work on the language because you've had to couch it?
Nope, because there are injury concerns that I'm carrying into this prediction.
Okay.
Josh Norris finishes with a higher points per game than Tim Stützle. And as you can see, I can't just say more points because Josh Norris has a rough injury history already that makes me a little nervous about this. Tim Stützle came out last year, great breakout season, 90 points, showed that he has arrived. He looks like he is going to be a legit number 1 center in the NHL. But it is only 1 year. And we have seen before, and this wouldn't technically be the same, but a sophomore slump, right? Where you sometimes take a bit of a step back, teams figure you out a little bit, maybe your power play gets figured out a little bit.
This would be the quadrennial year slump.
Quadrennial
year slump.
Okay.
4th year.
I'm not sold that Stützle is 90-point guy yet. And as you also know, I took a beating from Habs Twitter when I said that Josh Norris would turn out to be better than Nick Suzuki.
And where did I stand on that?
I don't remember, but I'm not.
I stood on the Suzuki side.
And I'm not sure Josh Norris has played a goddamn game since I said that.
Right.
Some shoulder hit. I think with the way this power play may shake loose, with the number of pieces right now in Ottawa's top 6, like I don't know who's going to play with who yet. I assume we end up back at Stützle with Tkachuk and Giroux. I think that's what's going to happen. But both Giroux and Batherson have suggested they're prepared to play the offside to make Tarasenko more comfortable. What that means in terms of who, we've seen through training camp, they called it a tweak, not an injury, a tweak on the Norris shoulder. So how much do they want him taking faceoffs early on? Does that put Giroux back on his line early in the season? We'll see. Well, but I think there's a chance, just before I let you in here, that both of those guys end up kind of 77 through 83 points, and maybe Josh Norris ends up through some power play work, through the way that his line mates line up, and maybe he's the guy who finishes with more points. And I would love to just leave it at more points than Stützle. I've had to set it at points per game because in case there's injuries.
And in this market, it's understood what you're working towards.
Yeah.
You're
not buying it.
I don't think there's any world in which, short of 3 games into the season, there's an injury and Norris has 6 points, that Norris exceeds Stützle in points per game.
Not a single scenario. No way it happens.
It's short of a catastrophic injury.
But if they both play 82 games, you see no chance Norris gets...
Zero. Let's look at his elevated scoring season.
That 0% is a lofty take in and of itself.
Yep. Well, this is hot takery here. This is what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah.
This is not a show built on 100% fact, but I am going to bring some cold hard facts for you.
Okay.
Right. If you look at Norris's 35 goal season that he signed his contract out of, I think he ended up with 68 points.
Yep.
That is
one away from a real nice season.
That is a season in which his shooting percentage was above 20.
Yep.
Right? That this is, you're now asking him to not only replicate.
I think he's going to get way more assists than he's had before. He's going to have some more support around him.
But all I'm saying is
that power play is looking really solid.
Yeah. Hey, man, you're speaking.
I know.
You're speaking directly to me.
Yep.
But all I'm saying is you're talking about a guy who at this point in his career has been a shoot first guy, not an assist guy. And unless he's getting fat off of Brady Tkachuk rebound goals on power plays.
I think Batherson has a chance to bounce back here, score some more goals that might help him out here.
Yep. And I'm wondering if and friend of the show, Lloydie, likes to talk about the idea of flipping Norris with a potential shoulder.
Yep.
That maybe you don't put him up in between Giroux and Brady, one taking draws on the right side, one taking draws on the left, that you're not asking Josh.
Yeah, I think I alluded to that a few minutes ago. The idea of having Giroux help him out with some face-offs.
And Brady on the left side, because Brady is an above 50% guy on the left side. So I just think that you are looking at, if you get a ceiling of 70 points from Josh Norris, that's a great season. I think if you look at a season of 70 points, that's not just a step back. That's a poor season for Tim Stützle.
Yeah, and I have both of them meeting a little higher than that. I think it's what 7, if we have both those guys show up in your low 80s, it's been a good year. That's been a good year, and I think there's definitely the possibility. I think people are looking at. I understand. I'm higher on Norris than most people. I like his game though. I like what he does.
But see what I like about his game is on that almost 70 points is. He was killing penalties at the end.
Yep.
There was that more 200-foot well-rounded
very
game.
Good two-way game, yeah.
Right, and burgeoning and room to grow.
Yep.
And so will he become a better passer? Yes. I believe that's true.
Right. And just naturally from having better talent around him, some more depth on this team. Right?
And do I think it's automatic that Stützle's 90 points goes to 100?
It's hard.
It's super hard. That is when you meet that elite area. And I'm not saying he doesn't get 100 points in his career.
Sure.
I just don't think
it's not necessarily linear.
Automatic, exactly. Yeah. That it's automatic that it's going to happen this year.
Right.
And if he goes to 80 points, that's fine. But to me, if Norris is making 80 points, this team it's a slam dunk playoff team. If you have Josh Norris at 80 points.
Okay.
So your hot takery is interesting.
Yeah.
I do see that. I don't agree with it.
No.
But I like it.
Okay.
I like it. You brought something there that's fairly well thought out for somebody who has said that there wasn't a pile of time and energy put into this.
I went and looked at what he's done, what Stützle's done.
Yep.
What in theory, if you're going to be a good team, teams are going to have to split their defense on you, like how they defend you.
Yep. Well, and to me, if you look at if and when Pinto gets signed, and you are looking at a third line of Kubalik, Pinto, Blam, I don't know, Greg, Joseph, whatever that other side is, that's deep.
Yep.
That's deep depth.
Agreed.
So we'll see. It could be a good season. We'll see. ESPN doesn't see it that way.
ESPN does not. Never have we looked to them for guidance on hockey.
Look to ESPN for your hockey nuggets. Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
I am looking around and I'm like, wow, what is it that jumps out to me in a roster that is well talked about, much debated. The thing that I keep coming back to is your boy Matthew Nyes.
Yeah. Very nice.
Very nice. You like the juice? Matthew Nyes, Calder Trophy.
Whoa.
Nominee? I said winner originally, then I'm like, oh, this is a Bedard guy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with...
Because if I've got 95-point Connor Bedard.
Yeah. Well, see, this is clearly where we disagree.
Yeah, 100%. Man.
But I'm saying with all the fellatio that's happening on Matthew Nyes, exactly, the written and verbal on what a great...
He and Fraser Minton lighting it up during training camp,
he's killing penalties.
Yeah.
He's taking it away. He's bringing it to the net. There's so much good shit happening here that I think you're looking at a guy who, bare minimum, Calder Trophy top 3. And moving forward, makes that Nylander and Marner conversation in terms of long-term contracts moving forward way more interesting.
Yeah, as you kick it around, Bedard is obviously the one that we'll all be leaning on. But you look at Cooley coming in down in Arizona.
With the greatest goal ever scored in NHL history.
Well, certainly the greatest goal ever scored in Australia.
All right. Okay.
It was a pretty nice goal.
Set the bar somewhere, man. Yeah. You got to get in. Get in on the ground floor.
Yeah. I just wonder.
There's so much hype on this guy, man. It's like Austin Matthews breaking the glass in his first day of training camp.
Yeah, that's your go-to. Whatever.
Was
it Pinto or was it Norris who won every face-off in a college game?
Pinto.
Like that was the same orgasmic release here in Ottawa as Matthews.
Hobey Baker finalists, Pinto and Nyes, both.
Yeah, I think that's going to end up being pretty high for Matthew Nyes. I think he ends up 14 to 18 goals.
On the PK?
Probably not. Maybe.
Sure?
No, I'm not. That's why I said probably not and not definitely not.
Well, this is hot takes, man. This is...
I think you're looking at Marner Camp on the PK, then Yarncroke and someone else. Maybe not.
Matthew Nyes.
Maybe it is Matthew Nyes.
Hobey Baker finalist, Minnesota.
Yeah, I think he's going to miss Jimmy Snuggerud and Logan Cooley as his line mates. I
do right now.
I think he got fat off of those two names a little bit. But he came in the playoffs, looked totally comfortable.
For sure he did.
Yeah.
3 games in the regular season, 7 playoff games.
Yeah. Something like that. 7 or 8 playoff games. Because he got hurt early on in the Florida series. So I expect him to be fine. Perfectly fine.
Big body, 20 years old.
Yep.
Like I think him coming in, I just think
doesn't shy away from contact, but isn't super
he's
physical.
good along the boards, though. Yep. He's good there.
Nice playmaker. So what ends up happening there is, does he play with Tavares? That we've seen a lot of different looks through Leafs camp, whether it's Nylander in the middle, Tavares in the middle. I assume we're going to run, at least for the first couple of weeks, Bertuzzi with Matthews and Martin. I actually like Nyes on that line.
Yeah, we both discussed that Nylander's not staying there in the middle.
Probably not, but they're going to give it a couple games here, I think.
And you're looking at another year of entry level.
Yeah.
And you're like, where do we spend that money, right? You're looking at Nylander needs a contract for next year. Marner...
Yeah,
is a year out from that point.
There's some good rookies coming in this year, though, man. Like it's.
So is Matthew Nyes the next Austin Matthews?
No.
Or is he the next Nick Robertson?
Okay, can I have somewhere in the middle? Can I grab something in between those two? Just a middle 6 guy. He's just a useful player. He's not a superstar, not a 40-goal guy, and probably not in my opinion, probably not a Rookie of the Year contender.
Man, you're looking at it in the early exhibition, just killing it.
Yep.
And there's lots of saliva. Put a little spit on that.
And we've both come in entirely too high on the other guy's team.
Well, it is hot takes.
Yep. No, it's true. We'll get back to shitting all over each other's teams next week.
It's conversational pieces, right? But to me, the Nyes, the big body frame.
I think he's going to be good. I think it's a tough year with the number of rookies coming in that he's not going to get close.
You're gonna slot him in behind Bedard, Cooley,
for sure behind those two guys. Probably more like.
How about Fantilli? Where do you put him in? Do you see any?
Leo Carlson too. What are they going to do with him down there? He's behind both of those. He's behind all 4 of those guys. Like this is, in my opinion, by the end of the day.
Is that because of the team or is that because of the talent?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Matthew Nyes is not going to be number 1 power play guy, right? He's not going to be. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just this year.
Yeah. No, and I'm just saying that's where the team part comes in, right?
Yeah. No, I think think it's a bit of both, but I think he is significantly behind Leo Carlson, Fantilli, Connor Bedard, and Cooley. All of those
opportunities
guys. Opportunities will matter.
Certainly do play into that.
Now, if they decide mystery man Guy Boucher now running the Toronto Maple Leaf power play, he wants to get funky with things, and all of a sudden,
and he does.
Matthew Nyes all of a sudden finds himself, for whatever reason, they decide to split up
Mr. X,
the big four, and he's down in front of the net. Maybe that gets him an extra 15, 20 points, and he's in the mix. We'll see, but I'm not banking on that. I think he's more of a 5 through 8 kind of.
That's your pessimistic Leaf fan thing.
I think I also said the Leafs will win the division.
I think the guy's going to be outstanding, and I think he's going to be in the Calder.
Okay. Him and Josh Norris on the top line of a Team USA at the Olympics.
Certainly killing penalties, man. Certainly killing penalties.
That's it. We are here. We have arrived at opening week in the NHL.
And we love it.
We've battled through the summer. Some bad Ottawa Red Blacks based
it's been a grind, man. It's been a grind.
Some super frustrating Toronto Blue Jays baseball. We have arrived at hockey, and thank God it's back. We'll wrap this one up here. Don't forget, Graham Nichols is around with your Ottawa Senators season preview, and Jeff Fayette, your Toronto Maple Leaf season preview, all this week on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. For Rob Christie, my name is Matt Robinson. We'll see you next time.
The hell is that?
Number one bullshit. Oh, number one bullshit.
Why are you so pissy?